It's a high chaos ball, a wobbler. Oh, Reynolds, favoured by the bounce. He's going to turn it round the body, and he's got enough on it.
Welcome to Before the Bounce. There's plenty to talk about on the show. Where to for the Crows? Is the AFL becoming unwatchable? Port Adelaide top, Crows bottom. SANFL, that's back. Adelaide Footy League's back. As I welcome the great man, Greg Anderson. Ando, plenty to talk about.
Wow, plenty to talk about, is there? What? There's some big headlines you've just mentioned then. Wow, brilliant.
All right, well, let's get to it, mate. Okay. Were the Crows better, or did Brisbane just take their foot off the accelerator pedal?
Well, if you actually look at it, I mean, the Crows have only had 11 shots at goals for the whole game. Obviously, Brisbane got a bit more fair income in that third quarter, and after the third quarter, and the last quarter, they actually had 11 shots just in that last quarter. So when there's two players that have both had 6 shots at goals, I think Crows are struggling. I think Crows are really struggling. Again, I think they only had 1 goal up to quarter time, 2 goals at half time. Had a very good third quarter, but now, you've been so successful at coaching. Is it there are a lot of mental issues here as well because of the fact that they need, obviously they've come in at half time, they've scored 2 goals, that's it. They've obviously getting a barrage from their coaches. They've come out, had a very, very strong third quarter, and then they've just gone back to their old ways. So we're talking professional athletes that need a gear up to get some sort of credibility in a quarter of footy.
I think it's a really good question. I mean, if you go back to the first game when they got beaten comfortably, we thought there'd be a response in the second game, and most people were disappointed that there wasn't a response. Now we're saying, did they get a response at the start of the third quarter? Did they get a big bake from Nixie at half time?
Had to have.
I reckon if you look at it just on the 3 games that we've seen to date, I think their effort's okay.
Okay.
But they don't have the talent. They just purely are out-talented by the other team. So they're in a spot, I reckon, and everyone hates the rebuild word. We all hate that.
Yeah.
But I reckon right now the Crows have got to look and go, okay, we need to get more games into the young kids. We've got to have a look at the end of the year. Can we get a couple of senior players from somewhere else? I think they're very similar to where Carlton were when Bolton took them over, and very similar to where Brisbane were when Fagan took them over. The only difference between those 2 scenarios were that Fagan was happy when he came in to say, I'm jettisoning a whole lot of players.
Yeah.
Where I think Bolton came in and I think he tried to go with the group that he had there. And I reckon the benefit that we're now seeing with Carlton is this year. And he's not there. So I think Nixie and right now has to look, and it's still early, 3 games, but I reckon at some stage him and the coaching staff and the club are going to have to sit down and go, know what, we're going to have to jettison a whole lot of players and wear a bit of pain, but incrementally see that we're getting better each week, and then each year that we're getting closer to the wins until finally we're getting those wins. I think they're a long way off just on talent alone.
I think they've got an issue with stability at the club as well. I think they some of their senior players, who've moved on. I know that's been a really big talking point. You as a coach, when you start getting some of your sort of your top 10 2s and 3s over a period of 3 or 4 years, it just can't happen. I mean, it's just too hard to get stability in a footy team, never at the club.
It's a great point. It's a great point, isn't it? And someone probably needs to dig in and find out why that's occurred. What are the real reasons behind that? Is it money? Is it the culture of the club? Is it they wanted to get back to Melbourne or Perth or Queensland, wherever they came from? I think there's some of those are all in that mix. I think some players left because they wanted to get home. Some players not happy where they are. Let's establish why. But we're happy to lose those players. Let's sit back, catch our breath for a moment. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
I think it's going to be a bumpy ride.
I think there might be a couple of years where so don't mind seeing the bumps as eventually we start to see it calm.
All clubs go through it.
It's cyclable.
It's amazing.
AFL is dressed up that way. I tell you the thing that frustrates me the most though, is that if we finish down the bottom end, we're good for some draft picks. If you're relying on the draft picks to be a good club, you're in all kinds of pain for a really long period of time. Because let's say you draft 3 really talented players, and we know that's rare, but you get 3 really good ones. One comes from Melbourne, one comes from Sydney, one comes from Adelaide. The guy from Sydney in 3 years' time, he wants to get back to Sydney.
Yeah, I know.
The guy from Melbourne, after 3 years, he wants to get back to Melbourne. So the guy from Adelaide, well, he's happy to stay here. So
it's a real key now, isn't it? It's a real key.
I think you have to have, again, I'm making a cake.
Yeah.
I need all the ingredients. I can't just go, got great draft picks. Can't go, I've just got good senior players. Can't go, I've got that middle tier in the 24 to 28. I need a nice blend of all of that.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a while for them to get to that, I think. So I reckon, the game itself, are you enjoying it? How many games did you watch on the weekend?
I watched lots of 10-minute blocks, and I think that was about it. I'm not used to the game. I mean, and no one is. I mean, that's at the end of the day. There's no one's used to this style of game where you don't see the emotions from 20,000 people, in a packed one end of the ground when the goal's scored. So. I'm finding that it's sort of a game that I'm not really enjoying. I'm finding that they're trying to stop scoring.
Yep.
And the teams I've been watching are doing it very well. I'm finding it pretty hard to watch.
So again, we'll wind the clock back to the first show. We talked about how we thought this season might play out.
Yeah.
And I said to you at the time, I'm genuinely concerned that they've taken away coaching staff and the skills coaches.
Yep.
Because I understand financially because they had to. And I reckon, and I'm not trying to be big-headed in this, but I said to you, and I said, I've got a genuine fear that the game is going to be boring because the coaches will slow it down because we can't play up tempo because it's too risky. The mistakes and turnovers score the other way. So we'll just bring it to a grinding halt. And the teams that are efficient, Port Adelaide at the moment, very good. The rest of them are going to go slower and slower and slower. And we're all going to go, geez, this is boring. After all the good games we watched in the lead up to this, and that's nearly where it is. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, I'm driving here tonight and I'm listening to the boys on the radio talking footy. And I think we need to change the rules. I think we need 16 players on the ground now. Is there any chance that we can leave the frigging game alone? I'm over every year. We need to change the tackling rule. We need to change. Umpires are confused. Players are confused. Crowds confused. They don't do it. Every now and then there'll be a minor change in some games. But we're changing the game.
We're changing so much to suit TV.
I guarantee you that whatever rule you put in place, the coaches will find a way to beat it. Leave the game alone, and we'll all be okay. We'll be fine. I'm sick of
basketball. You've got rugby league, got rugby union. Yes, they might have changed the colours of the umpires, but that's about it.
Yeah. Well, so
they've left it alone.
So netball's just made a change. So the first time, probably since the inception of the game, nearly, we're going to bring in the 2-point shot from outside the arc. One change.
I know.
Soccer hadn't made a change.
No, nothing.
No, since Adam was playing for him before Jesus came to the ground. So I don't mean to offend the religious people, but
I feel I'm sticking up for the game at the moment. I was thinking about when I was driving here today. I round 1, round 2, I thought I was a bit critical on the game myself personally, but I'm getting and I'm talk a lot of chat with a lot of fans. And I'm finding saying, well, you know what, it's just because of this and because of that, because of this. I'm actually really sticking up for what the AFL are delivering to us each week. And that's not me. This is the supporters, the people that have their hard-earned cash or their valuable time watching, our sport, and it's not up to standard. And that's where it is at the moment.
We may get a reprieve this weekend. We'll have a chat about it. I reckon Port-Brisbane game is going to be an absolute beauty.
That'll be fantastic.
Two teams that are playing really good footy.
We're always going to get those games. We're always going to get those games.
Is anyone else playing good footy though at the moment? Do you think anyone else? I mean, Richmond certainly are.
No, Richmond's really disappointing over the last
Collingwood's
few weeks.
Been a little bit up and down.
Yeah, up and
I
down.
reckon the rest have been inconsistent.
Yeah.
I reckon we're going to watch that game and everyone can start to go, that's the game we want to see.
Yeah.
And so we can defend it a bit better. I'm like you. People are coming and going, and the ratings are through the roof. Well, they have to be because there's no crowds at the game.
Yeah,
but
that's it.
I'm like you. This week I've spoken to more people about, I don't know if I can keep watching this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can keep watching this.
Oh,
Maybe it's not being there as part of it. SANFL, of course.
Wow.
What was your take?
Look, I went and saw Glenelg Norwood, and
wow, what a game.
What an incredible game. And I just take my hat off to the SANFL. They were, it was 5,000 allowed into Adelaide Oval, but of course, a lot of those were first of all the North West Adelaide game, and watched the last quarter and a half of that, and that was tough. There's a lot of feeling between the players. I mean, like, you're my brother. That's who I'm playing with. I'm playing with my brothers.
Yep.
A lot of little pushing and shoving, which I don't mind, and it was fantastic. It was a lot of feeling in both of those games. North certainly had control of the game.
Yep.
That North Glenelg one, that was a cracker. I think Glenelg got up by 3 points.
They did. I reckon Norwood had a chance to win. It was a good game.
They did. Oh, geez, it was a good game. So well done, the SANFL.
25,000 people might be allowed in pretty soon. Do you reckon they'll get 25 to go?
They won't. But
I reckon they'll get close,
can I just say something? if you say, have 25,000 at the spectacle I watched, Norwood Glenelg, that deserved 25,000 people at that game.
Yep.
That was a crack. We're talking some of the best marks that I've seen in I reckon years. Some of the tackles, some of the putting their body on the line, sticking up for your teammates. Everything I love about footy. Yes, I'm back from the old school.
Yeah.
It ticked every box. It was tough, right, and smothers. When I'm talking, I must have seen, I'd have to say 10 smothers during the game.
Yeah.
And it's rare these days. Those players are putting their body on the line, and I found it an absolutely fantastic game to watch.
Yeah, I spoke to some of the coaches during the week from different clubs, and they all said the same thing. All of it was not was it great to be a part of, but they thought it was a really good standard of footy.
That was, I think, round one.
That's what they're saying. And with everything they've put up with, no trial games, just a couple of inter-squad scrimmages, they weren't expecting it to be. And they said it wasn't polished, but it was pretty good.
She was tough.
And
you don't mind not polished when they put their body on the line like they did for each other.
We'll get to a break. Plenty to come. Stay with us. Yes, you're watching Before the Bounce. Time to get to Generally Speaking. Of course, that's brought to us by Peter Page Holden. Call Luke Page for your next car. Don't forget, if you live out in the north side of town, the mechanics at Peter Page are the best in the business.
Spot on.
Great spot, Peter Page. Get out there.
I want to ambush this, actually. I want to give you a bit of a break for...
Generally speaking?
No.
Ando's ambush.
Because you ripped all of mine off me at the start of the season. So
you said you were good with them.
Grab something. I wasn't really.
You weren't really. Okay.
So what do you think, Ando's ambush? I like that.
I like it.
It's got a bit of a ring to it.
It's not bad.
I mean,
did you think that up?
I did.
That's good.
That's good. Actually.
Okay. I'm happy with that.
Took me a
while.
Took me a while.
We've been on here 3 weeks and you've just got it. Okay, no, it's good.
I want to chat to you about Rory Sloane, captain of the club, attitude, the whole, what he's got on his shoulders at the moment. When you've got a group of players, in a hub, they're really struggling.
It's a big weight for Rory. I mean, again, he got the bad corky 2 weeks ago. Rolled his ankle in the game last week, so he'll play this week because we know he's a warrior. We know he's a great leader because he does it on the field and off the field. He's a beauty. I think for him right now, the secret is to try and not take it all on. And you've played, you've done it. Where you go, I'll do this, and then it actually capitulates into more mistakes. Your effort is too high. So I reckon it's the one. Take a half step back, Rory. You can't do everything, mate. The most important thing right now is to be the good leader that you are, which you do naturally, and play good footy.
So he needs a bit of a balance there because he's a warrior. He's going to say, look, I'm just going to strip off my Guernsey. I've got this shield, and I'm just going to go and work my backside off like we know he does.
Well, I reckon the Teflon's taking.
But he now needs maybe just a bit of a percentage to skew onto his team.
It's a learning experience for him now, because last year he came in, there was him and Tex sharing the load. Now he's sharing the load. I know Tex is still there, but he takes that captaincy, the burden's on him, and he takes that responsibility. And just be careful that the weight of that, along with trying to play well, battle the injuries you've got at the moment, isn't putting too much weight on him. So I'd lighten the expectation.
What about the hub? You got the top of the tree, just over the golf course. They're all having lattes and cappuccinos and enjoying life. And then Rory's and his team are really struggling. I mean, are they close? Does Rory say, "Let's close the shop up. Let's just focus on us as a team," or do you still have that time away from each other and mingle with other teams, other clubs, other players?
I reckon the balance is really important, and I don't think there's anything wrong with mingling if you could. I don't know the restrictions where they are, but if you could mingle with the power boys, take a little bit of energy from them. They're up and about and they're buoyant because they're winning and they're playing well. And when you're losing, you start to become very insular. You need to actually reach out a little bit, and it may not be there. But if they got the opportunity to go and play golf, go and play golf. Don't feel like I shouldn't be playing golf because we're losing, because it'll just compound into something. Need to spread out a little bit. They need to get away from each other a little bit, so when they get back together, they're actually glad to see each other, as opposed to, mate, I'm over you. And it's hard when you're losing.
Now, I asked you that question because you were a super captain, but now we're going to go to you being a super coach. What about Matty Nix now? I mean, how does he handle this? And you know, like us both, I know we're getting bashed out there, you know, and we enjoy talking footy and you know, different personalities of the game. But these two are the ones that have been brought up the most by, you know, by people I bump into in the street and have a bit of a chat about.
Look, I reckon the first thing with Nixie, if you look at when he came into coach, there was a lot of external problems. Now, we're talking about just the players, not talking about what happened with Roo and McLeod, not talking about any of that, because that's got nothing to do with Nixie.
No.
The big problem that they faced last year were there was a lot of dissension in the team, a lot of unhappiness, a lot of stuff in the media. Nixie's come in and all that stuff's gone.
Well, that's
now,
true.
they didn't just go magically. I know they got rid of a few players,
Yep.
but I think you can only fix one thing at a time, and that's a pretty pivotal one to get onto and fix. And I don't see any of that. In the last month, even though they're losing the last 2 months, I haven't seen any of that fractures like we saw last year. So I think
we saw plenty of that last year.
I think you want to give him a big tick in that box and say, gee, he's done a ripping job in a short period of time. The next part for him right now is he's going to have to, you're not going to enjoy it, but he's going to have to accept little wins.
Yeah.
You know, I was able to get more time into some of my younger players and they actually responded really well
8
in
or
the
9
third
players
quarter.
now over the 30, 40, 50 games.
Yep, so I think that's a box he's going to have to tick. Is the style of game going to help us? Can we go with 3 bigs? Well, hard to tell because it poured with rain, so and they didn't know that until the day. So kind of go, he's having a look at the bigs. He's having a look at the style of game that he thinks is going to work long term for them. Now he's trying to find the players that can fit into that and the players that can't. So there's a lot of learning going on for him as well. And I think, again, if I was him right now, I'd catch my breath. He'd be unbelievably frustrated that he's losing, but he was also an assistant coach with the Power when they were losing.
That's right.
And so he's got some knowledge to draw on. Again, we know the expectation
They turned it around. Yeah.
Exactly right. And I think it's that one where you feel a bit of heat in Adelaide because of that expectation for the Crows to win. I'm saying to the fans and everyone, take a step back. He's ticked a couple of boxes already. You're going to have to wear a little bit of pain. Every club that's played in the AFL has had to wear some pain. Unfortunately, it's the Crows' turn.
It's the Crows' turn,
now it's just a case of how quickly they can come out of it.
Other end of the scale, Tommy Jonas.
You know, isn't he living the dream?
He's living the dream, isn't he?
And
great bloke.
Everybody you talk to said, great bloke, great leader, and they're winning. So he's in a great patch. You know, now the test for Tommy comes when things start to go a little bit the other way. Is he still the great leader? Is he still happy? And I think he will be all of those things. I think that's a natural personality that Tom's got.
And he's looking after a really balanced team. Great youth, and as you said, you know, your 40, 50, 60 game players. And then the top end, you know, the stability that your Eberts and your Bokies and your Greys and your Jonases give the whole group is really outstanding.
And you're right. I spoke to a couple of players that have now played against Brisbane and against the Power. And they said right now they think the Power's the real deal.
Because the young players are exciting. I don't forget Kevin Sheedy's saying...
They've got the balance.
So
I'm making the cake.
Yeah.
Here's the ingredients. I need a little bit of that. Young players. And they've put some time into those young players. They didn't just draft them last year. And
they're doing some special stuff as well, by the way. They give you a spark.
No question.
They give you a spark.
So they've got the young group going pretty well. They've got that middle tier group going pretty good. And of course, Big Charlie, he's playing the best he's played. He's an intimidating bloke.
He missed 12 weeks last year. So, you know, it was a big chunk of the season. And he's just come back beautifully. And how fit's he look?
Unbelievable. I would have been disappointed if I was coaching last week with the way that they attacked Charlie. You know, he just dominated them in the air. And, you know, it would have been frustrating coaching. But what you say, Tommy's doing a great job. Team's really well balanced. Ken's got him playing some great footy. If they can hold on
isn't it?
at the moment, then I reckon this weekend's going to be a ripping game. I'm really looking forward to it because I think it'll be a great game, great for the AFL. It's might be the tipping point that the AFL needs to go. We're back on track.
And great talent in both teams. You know, you were saying that the Crows just don't have the talent. Well, Brisbane do, and so do Port. So when you put them both together, it's a cracking game.
She will be a beauty.
Last question on
Ando's
ambush.
Barry
Curtin. What are your thoughts on Big Bazza?
Big Baz turned 69. You won't believe it.
69.
69. Well, the Queen sent him a letter because she thought he looked like he was 100, and so he's had to send it back. So return to sender. But the Big Baz, 69, he's just motoring along beautifully.
Can I just say, you did ask a question before the show started. How old's Barry? I said 74.
You said 74.
We've got some of the audience here that
said
one was
98,
73,
one 98.
No one at all said he was under 70, so he's looking pretty ordinary, old Barry, but happy birthday, mate. Just a cracking bloke.
He is on top of the world at the moment. I spoke to him the other day. 16 weeks, his team's been on top of the ladder. And
his golf is going just as good as well, by the way.
He's a great man.
He's loving
He's
it.
Good man, Baz. Happy birthday to you, mate. Hope it was an absolute beauty. Game of the State. We've been on this one for a while. This one's brought to us by the Alberta Station. Beautiful cottage down there at the Flinders Ranges. Want to get down there and have a bit of time. Great weekend. Get away. Holidays are up. Couple or family, you want to enjoy it. The Adelaide Footy League gets underway this weekend. Ando, 9-game season after just one trial on the weekend. How do you think it'll be?
Oh, look, fantastic. I've got a lot of friends that are playing amateur league, guys that I've coached, the last few years, and they're that excited about getting underway and getting. Yep, it's 9-game season, but after such a long break, just to get your hands around the leather. It's exciting for them.
Mate, a lot of players, leagues have been suspended. Yeah. We're seeing players drifting into other leagues now. What do you make of that?
Well, it's just what it is. We're talking COVID-19. And I've spoken before about how it's so important that we get COVID-19 right and we get our world right and get Australia right, and we just got to work our way in that. And I think the SNFL have done it beautifully, and so has the Adelaide Football League, and I think it's wonderful.
All right, Max and George Thring, I guess they're an example of that. Both
great example.
Adelaide boys, they were going to go and play in another league, got suspended. Now they're playing with Goody Saints. Goody Saints, of course, very happy to have them, in Division 1.
But it's gone right across the board. Yep. There's some really talented players that I know that have been involved in SNFL level, have gone, played a season in the country. Unfortunately, it's been suspended, that competition, and they've come back in and found an amateur club. So it's going to happen, which is just going to strengthen up the amateur league. It's going to be cracking this year when you actually start going through some of the ex-SNFL players coming back in.
Yes.
To this Division 1 and Division 2, Division 3, and filters right through. It's going to be tough. And like I said, I saw. The SNFL, it's outstanding, and I think the
Div 1's going to be up there
right
well.
through. It's
going to be fantastic. Now, of course, Div 1, the game of the round, is going to be a live broadcast. Mate, it's going to be led by Sean Jackson.
He's not coaching anymore, which I can't believe.
Instead of finding a coach, mate, he can coach all the clubs now, mate.
Well, he's up to 45 years of coaching.
So, well done.
And I followed him a couple of times as well.
You do a better job or worse?
Oh, I don't know.
No?
It tosses the coin. Some clubs was okay, some was no good, but
you're not going to
he's a great guy. He's a really
good.
He's a super guy. He's a really nice guy, and I wish him all the best in his new career.
Well done by Div 1 to get that out there. The game of the round. We'll take a break. Back in a moment. Thanks for staying with us on Before the Bounce. Time to get to the segment that we all love, mate.
This is I can't wait for this segment, because who's your guest?
Bring a guest.
I want your guest. Who's your guest?
It's better than the guest, mate.
Is that right?
I've got one coming. It's going to blow anything you've brought in
coming through the door
out of the water. No.
Because we're supposed to have a guest.
He's coming down in a couple of weeks, mate. He'll be down in a couple of weeks. And when he gets here, you'll owe me an apology.
All right, I'll just rub that out.
It'll be a massive apology too for going, it was worth the wait.
Let's skip that segment.
All right, so we're going to rumour or humour.
Okay.
Tom Brown, journalist from Melbourne, who cops a bit of flack from the public for his breaking news from time to time. And
some of it's okay, some of it's not so breaking, but anyway.
Well, he said this. Charlie Cameron is looking for his third home. Humour or rumour?
I reckon that's got to be humour when when you're playing as good a footy as Charlie's at the moment. I think he must be very, very comfortable. He's with his family. We all know the reasons he left Adelaide. I would say that's a really bad rumour if it is that case. To throw on a footy club and a player this time of the year.
So I'm going to ask you about this, because this guy Tom Brown, he's made a couple of these rip snorter comments, and he always finishes up with got it from a couple of reliable sources, but never names them. So I don't know how reliable they are. The kids from primary school, and this is what I reckon's going on now. Just on this one right now, if that's what he said, he's allegedly said that Charlie's looking for his third team. I'd like to say to you, mate, if you're wrong, I reckon you should get sacked from your job.
I agree.
So if Charlie
100%.
doesn't go and play somewhere else next year, because this is the damage that he's doing. Charlie, who's really happy where he is playing at Brisbane at the moment, turns up at training tomorrow, and all the players go, so you're thinking of leaving, going to third club, mate? What's the problem?
It would be absolutely a terrible position for a player to be in.
Horrendous for the player.
Horrendous.
Now, what about the coaches, though? The coaches have worked hard to get the players playing together. They've got a nice balance, good synergy. Everything's feeling great. And then suddenly the bloke's out on the ground going, well, I don't know about Charlie, mate. He's thinking about going to play somewhere else next year. What's going on
Well,
here?
for Charlie's point of view, look, can I have a chat with you? Because I read this in the paper, and it's all a load of crap.
Yep, and now
So he's defending.
So instead of concentrating
rumour.
on playing footy,
Exactly.
So I reckon that there needs to start being some accountability
I agree.
for these kind of things.
I agree. It's just too easy
Yep.
to ruin a player's, a sort of preparation.
Yep.
And then that filters through your club and other teammates because of those reasons.
Well, a couple of reliable sources said to me that the company that he's working for, if he's got it wrong, they're going to have to sack him because they can't wear the flak for giving wrong information. But there are a couple of good, reliable resources.
I think that's terrible.
Well,
Absolutely terrible. And I see a lot of journalists trying to break news that it affects players, the club.
Well, that's right. Fair enough.
And it's not fair.
If your evidence is spot on, you've got all your facts, then fair enough, but don't just float something out to get attention. Someone's going to sit down one day and start writing down the comments that these people make, and then at the end of the year they're going to go, you know what, you didn't even get 10%.
They're unaccountable. That's not fair. No. They are unaccountable. They can say what they like. They can put in black and white what they like.
Yep.
And the effect it does have on that particular player and their family, and then it filters through their club, is
it's the damage
really
that they
fair.
do. I don't think they understand the impact that it has on the group while they're trying to sensationalise the story. Now, Gillon McLaughlin really does believe the AFL is a great spectacle this year. Humour or rumour?
Well, I think that's got to be a little bit of humour. I think he's very happy with the ratings. There's no problems there. But I think that if that's the case, he's got that muddled up with the ratings and the spectacle. That's what it...
Well, I think it's rating through the roof at the moment.
It's rating through the roof.
But no one's at the game, so everybody's watching it on TV. So Channel 7 would be fairly happy.
Do you get extra ratings if you keep flicking on and off? Going from friends to the game, to back to friends, back to the game?
I'm not sure, mate. I don't know how that rates.
That might be the case.
All right, here's the last one, mate. Melbourne coaching staff are not prepared to play Harley Bennell any more than 60% of game time. How's that working for them? The noise from Melbourne is that Goody could start planning his own exit strategy.
Oh, geez, I'm sounding like Tom Brown now.
Then we'll assume it's humour. Make up some humour with it.
Look, at the end of the day, not too many. There's no players that basically play 100% of the game. So, I'm sure we know that Harley Bennell is got to be massaged into the season, and that's fair enough. And I would say that would be the case. That his next block will be 60 to 70% and build up his season in the way of game time. But look, Goody got beaten by Geelong, who thinks going to be the premiers by 3 points.
Yep.
They've had a good couple of wins earlier in the year, so I think he's going along okay. I think the next block's really important.
Yep.
But
it's interesting how we gauge coaches, isn't it? I mean, we want it to be as simple as wins and losses, but it's not. I'm telling you right now, it's not.
Yeah.
And so for Goody right now, we sense that it's been an up, down, years, down. Don't know if he can coach. Again, I think you need to calm yourself down, have a look at what he's got available to him, and then decide your job as a coach, and you've done it. Let's remove all the smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Your job is to get the players to play as well as they can.
Yep.
Now, if Goody, or whoever it may be, Chris Fagan, Ken Hinkley, Matty Nix, if he's got the playing group playing as well as they can, and they're losing, he can't do any more than that.
That's right. Look, I think what you said earlier in the program about the Adelaide Crows, I actually didn't really look at it that way. And when you actually went A, B, C, D, you said, you know what, you're spot on.
Yeah.
I think it is a cycle. I do agree with you there. And their bottom end don't have enough games under their belt, to provide that spark.
Yep.
And so they need time. And unfortunately, for the Crow supporters, I think it's going to be a year or so. So
it'll be a bumpy ride.
Matty's ticking all the right boxes to to get their preparation right. They're winning some quarters, so maybe it's not as drastic as what the spectators think
it is. Well, we get a bit insular sometimes. Let's put it on a global stage. Liverpool just won the title for the first time in 30 years.
Yeah.
How do you reckon they're going financially? Do you reckon they've got everything they need, money and everything else? So
everything.
30 years.
30 years.
So sometimes you've got to be... I'm not suggesting it's going to take 30 years for the Crows, but it's cyclable. Time for us to go. And I hope you enjoyed Before the Bounce. The great man, Greg Anderson, will be back next week. Hope you